Hi, I'm Scott and welcome to SRD. Today we're going to talk to Dan W. from Gallant Knight Games about world building and creating published material. Come check it out.
Hi, I'm Dan Waszkiewicz. I am a freelance writer. I provided content for John Wick Presents 7th Sea, as well as a few other items, such as Blood and Honor. I've also provided content for Ben Warner's Wonderworks World of Do, and then most recently with Gallant Knight Games. I've also provided content and a few chapters for the Cold Shadows game. I'm also working with Gallant Knight Games primarily right now, and going from there, creating new games and helping out other authors.
So, as someone who's assisted in several successful Kickstarters, what do you think is key to getting that out there? There's a lot of folks that do write their own material and they're trying to publish things, but not everyone's successful, right? Like a lot of people tried the YouTube thing. Not everyone's successful. We're clawing our way. Some people don't even make it this far. So, I mean, what is it that what do you think has been the key to your success as far as Kickstarter and other backing?
Make good stuff. Make good stuff. And it sounds silly, and it's one of the hardest things to do. The idea of killing your darlings, you look at something and you're like, this is amazing. And then you come back and you look at it, a couple of days later, a week later, and you're like, no, this really isn't all that good. And having people around you that will give you that honest feedback. Like maybe you're all gung-ho about this idea, and then, you present it and they kind of look at it side-eye and being like, this isn't so great. We need to kind of change this up. That's, I realize the whole idea of get good noob is there.
Get good, son.
It is something that's kind of important is, put commitment into it, put it out to work, and then, word of mouth, and then game it. Put it out there, go to conventions. If you're trying to get something published, and if you're trying to get the Kickstarter or the crowdfundings to work, get out there, get your face known, get fans, get people to advocate for you in all, any kind of medium that you could find, whether it's social media, face-to-face, gotta get that groundswell behind you. Not everything is going to go well, and, be aware with that. You don't get in the game industry to make money. Occasionally, some folks could make a good deal amount of money, catch lightning in a bottle. But overall, we're a small industry, and we're lucky that we can. Some of us can make it. Doing it full time. I don't do it full time. It's a part-time gig for me, but it's still something that you have to still put in that commitment. It's a job.
That's amazing to hear that you're part-time. I mean, I've seen your name printed in material, there. So it does go a lot to show that it is a hard business to kind of get into, especially to make full time. Not everybody can be Dwarven Forge, and make $3 million, $4 million on every Kickstarter they put forth. But just getting that material out there, letting people see it, like you said, having those fans, really building that fan base. Do you use surveys at all, as far as hey, here's some material you guys like, A, B, or C better, that kind of thing? Or do you just put it out as one whole chunk and let the feedback come back?
That's more of when, depending on the group that I'm working with. Okay. With John Wick Presents, those guys, they've got their marketing team in place. So they know how to reach out to folks and, kind of figure out what works. Also, when it comes down to it, it's the big guys in charge that make those decisions, whether the fans say they like it or not. It's kind of how they go through, and usually they make really good decisions. With Gallant Knight, there's a lot of writer independence, which is really nice. Alan Barr is the owner and the bigwig over at Gallant Knight, and Alan gives his writers a lot of freedom to do what they would like, and however they gain their own their feedback. It's really individual. Each project is kind of individual underneath the Gallant Knight umbrella.
That's awesome. We'll be talking to Alan, I think either in late July or August. Looking forward to that, especially considering we'll be kicking off our wives and some other gamers that we have with us. They're going to be putting together what do you want to call it? Like Wee Wednesday, working with the kids. Okay. So we're working with Tiny Dungeon and talking to Alan about that, and really about Gallant Gallant Games and going from there. And so pretty looking forward to that. And Toby, I think we're talking to in July as well. Another one of you guys. Ben, just trying to nail him down. He's a busy guy. I think you said
I have him this afternoon for my D&D game.
What's that? Oh, you have him this afternoon?
Yeah.
Just throw him on. We'll just go ahead and just knock this out. But no, Ben's a great guy too. He's always working on something, it seems like. So
here's a tidbit, and if you guys could publish it, that's cool, or not at it. Toby Abad is the best mind in gaming that people don't know today.
Okay.
He is, everything that guy comes up with is near golden, and it's a shame that he doesn't get as much publicity as he does. But then again, he's from the Philippines, which is tough. But that he's got a great gaming mind, and I'd put him up there with Greg Stafford.
Really?
For gaming ideas, it's pretty impressive.
Give me an example of like something that he's done that's unique that we can push out there to folks.
In replacement magic for Pirate Nations for 7th.
Okay.
He came up with the idea of removing body parts and giving them to the Devil Jonah, and then because you get something magical back. Nice. So the idea of you don't fear the pirate that's got all of his arms and limbs, but you fear the guy that's got the hook, the peg leg, and missing an eye. Is he gave those up to the Devil Jonah, and he's one bad MFer.
Nice. That kind of creativity is really, I think, what drives a lot of people and pulls that imagination from folks, and that's what people want to see in games. It's one thing to open up a book and see elves and dwarves and gnomes. It's another thing to open up a book and see something you've never seen before. And I think that's what a lot of people want to see.
Something different than what they've seen constantly.
Yeah, and it's hard. It's hard to do that. And it's really hard to get people to buy into a new system. That's really more what our channel is about. We talk about D&D because you kind of have to talk about D&D. But there are so many other wonderful games. Like, hand me that book over there. Shadows of Estron is a great one. I don't know if you've ever played this, but as far as horror games go, God, it's brutal. It's a really good dark feel to it, but half the people probably never play it, and that's unfortunate because
people generally fall into their comfort zones,
right?
And stepping outside. Every time that you take one step outside your comfort zone, your box gets bigger, right? Mm-hmm. That's how it works. So there are tons of really good games out there that people just haven't really dove into, like you mentioned. I can't remember what the name of it is. It's the Western March. I can't remember what it is, but it's a Spanish D&D heartbreaker.
Okay.
And it's beautiful and it's fun and it's kind of along the Ostrich lines. But Alan can talk to you a little bit more about that because he's got the stock, and I think he's got the U.S. title, the U.S. license.
Okay, awesome. So is there anything that you're working on right now that you want to talk to folks about? You want to share with us? I know you said that you had some things in the back burner, but...
a lot of stuff I need to actually put to... Nothing that I can really talk about just yet. Because nothing is... I do have a project that I'm working on with a couple of friends of mine. That's going to be a modern day mage wizard type of game. Nice. It's going to draw upon the ideas of different types of magic in the real world, and summoning, and tentatively it's called sigils. Okay. All of the wizards have a sigil, and that's something that kind of builds off of that. It's a world of secret magic. I am drawing inspiration from an article by Grant Morrison called Pop Magic, an essay that he wrote. Give it a look. It's a pretty neat read. Okay. And then the Monday Evening Massacre comic book, or Monday Evening Murders, which is about magic on Wall Street.
Oh, nice.
Which is the artwork snagged me on that. I was walking by in the comic book store. I saw the cover and I was like, "Ooh, what is this?" Right. And just ran with that. After I read that, I'm like, I've got some really good ideas. There was a lot of good fodder there.
There's definitely a market for it. There's some good modern games out there, and there's some games that don't necessarily, I think, capture it really well. But there are some good ones. Of Dreams of Magic is one that I really like as far as modern settings, if you've ever picked that one up. Shadowrun, I have a love-hate relationship with. Some of the older Shadowrun really caught me. Some of the newer stuff, not so much. And then, of course, D20 Modern I do love D20. I can't get away from it, but I do love it. So I'm always looking forward for good modern games. So I'll definitely be checking it out when it comes out.
Awesome. Hopefully I'll have it out by hopefully this time next year. I'm really hoping to get a Kickstarter done toward the end of fall this year. Get that in place and get a lot of the preliminary writing in. I've got an outline. I've got a few chapters in. I've got some great writers lined up. One thing I'm doing is that was done with me. I'm bringing in people that I've never had the opportunity to write before.
Okay.
And just up until about maybe 5 years ago, I wasn't in the gaming industry. I was just this regular schmo rolling dice, dreaming of what it would be like. And then just through people that I know, they gave me a chance to be, to write in something. Next thing I know, I'm a stretch goal in another game as a writer. Other people are taking chances on me. So in every project that I do, I want to take a chance on somebody that's not not a writer, that's not in the industry, to give them a chance to get their name and, name in a bunch of books. I've got a bunch of credits behind my name and I don't know how it happened. It's just,
just showed up one day.
It just showed up one day. And it blows my mind that, just a few years back, this was not something it was something I dreamt of and never imagined that I would be doing. Yeah. And so I consider myself lucky, and now meeting the guys and the guys and the gals that have written these games and getting to know them on a professional level or an equal level, even though I can't even say that I'm equal to any of them. I'm not sure that I belong, but hey, that's for other folks to decide on that one.
So when you pull in new writers into projects, is there something that you look for? Is there any specific, what's the word I'm looking for?
Qualities.
Yeah. Are there any particular qualities that you look for in an individual?
Passion.
Okay.
Passion. If somebody can talk to me about a topic and just keep on going on that topic, and I'll sit there and listen, and if they're knowledgeable about it, that's something that's gonna pull me in. If they've got that passion, if they've got that drive to give me that information, to educate me and to entertain me. This is something that I learned from Ben Warner. If you ever get the opportunity, ask Ben Warner about Mongols or make a comment about Mongols, and you will get a lecture, a good lecture, an educational lecture about Mongols. It's one of his favorite things in the world. We have a joke that if we want to distract Ben, we mention the word Mongols or something about it, and he just kind of sidetracks and tangents off on that. But that's kind of how it is find folks that have a passion for the topic. And even if they don't have the technical skills for the writing, those could be taught, those can be, refined, and also handling, a lot of things on the edits on the other end. But if you can get somebody that is knowledgeable and willing to give that information, it's great. Passion is one of the greatest things they could do.
I agree. It really is about, making the decision to, hey, this is what I love to do. This is what I'm going to do. Just give it a shot. Get yourself out there.
It's kind of like starting a YouTube channel.
It's kind of like starting a YouTube channel.
Just go
give
do
it a shot. Put your writing out there. I know a lot of people are relying on, what is it? The DM's Guild right now to get a lot of their writings out there. They're putting forth stuff, and then they're letting the $1.99 or RPG drive-through is the other one. $1.99, 99 cents. Pay what you want. That seems to be a pretty good model so far to really kickstart. Not kickstart, but actually kickstart their careers and get them moving forward. So I love it. I mean, this community, Twitter, part of the side effect of this whole project is having to get into social media. And I've never touched Twitter before I started this, but it is an amazing community. There's nothing but wonderful people out there making great stuff. And it's good stuff. It's good quality stuff. And they're just like anyone else. They're just trying to be like, hey, I've got stuff. Come check it out. And you go look at it, and it's really good. And everyone is just backing each other. They're putting forth the passion that you're talking about. And it's a wonderful community. And the more that we do this, the more that we talk to people, the more that we realize that for the most part, everyone wants to help each other. Yeah. And that I think to me is one thing I've never really seen in other stuff. I come from.
It's not as competitive.
Yeah.
I would say everybody's really trying to bring everybody else up just for the the better of the hobby.
A rising tide raises all boats, right?
Yep.
Right. Well, we're really hitting that high tide in the hobby. I mean, this last few years has been weird.
Yeah. Explosions.
It's been really weird. You know, like when I was in high school, like playing like in the lunchroom, like by myself, playing like some Magic with like some other dude, like, you know, trying to keep things quiet. You didn't tell your girlfriend that, you know, on Saturday night she played Dungeons and Dragons. Like, what are you doing Saturday? Oh, well, stuff.
Mom says I gotta do chores.
Gotta do chores. But now it's like, oh yeah, I'm just playing some D&D, and she might want to go with you.
Yep.
Or, you know, it's a wonderful time to be in this community. Brian, did you have any questions?
Yeah. So when you are writing or world building, how do you choose a system that you want to use with that?
So for my home games,
Yeah.
it's down to my players. What is it that they're comfortable with? Do we want something that's very very crunchy? Are they Pathfinder fans? Do they like the fantasy tropes? You know, but they don't want to necessarily deal with the 3.5 or the 3 point whatever, you know, with the Pathfinder ideas. Then maybe we'll look at 5th edition D&D. Are they horror fans? If they're horror fans, I'm going to look at the storyteller system, or I'm going to look at my favorite Call of Cthulhu, and kind of go with those ideas. It really depends as to what my players want. I was watching one of your videos not too long ago about buy-in, and this goes with the world building aspect. One thing that I do in our session 0, my session 0 is usually broken up into two sessions. Session 01 is going to be building characters. So we know where everybody's at. We kind of build a tie-in. Session 2 is going to be the world building aspect. Okay. Talk about what are places, what are locations that the players want to play at. I ran a Dresden Files game. Dresden Files has a great, the Fate system itself has a great idea for city building. So in that, it was, all right, let's come up with a place where the players want, where you want action to happen, where you want scenes to be. So they picked a bar. What is, you know, give me 1 or 2 people that are always there. So this way the players are then telling me the names, or, you know, the people that are there. What's the feel of the place? What kind of idea, what kind of imagery are we getting there? What's the general overall atmosphere there? And then give me a couple other little things about it, and then I move on. And we do generally 2 or 3 per person. Now the players now have something that they've given me as GM and as basically the writer of the world, things to use. Makes my life easy. I don't have to come up with all of these NPCs. Right. You know, granted, I'm involved in the process, but they now have buy-in, which is something you guys like to chat about, of these are places I want to go. I'm invested in these NPCs because they helped create them, and you know, who are some of the bad guys. Tell me something cool about the bad guys, you know. And if they make them particularly difficult, all right, I might give you a little bit of a Benny or a bonus, you know, to certain things to make the player characters' lives a little bit more miserable. The one that stands out is in the Dresden Files game, a character created a fairy. And the fairy she was a dryad. She was tied to a tree. She lived in a tree nursery here in Phoenix. The tree nursery would then transplant trees in people's homes. She decided that all of those trees are all inhabited by dryads, and basically it's a fairy relocation program, which I thought was genius. I think that's a great little story that you could write behind. And you know, that was something that my players came up with. I'm like, all right, fine. I've got all these other ideas. So now we've got this fairy mafia thing going on with relocation, and it was something that I could just sit back and let them run with, or just add in the key components and the catalysts to make things go.
Sure. That is definitely my favorite part, is just letting the players, when they've gotten to that spot where you can just sit back as the GM and just be like, grab your drink and just let them go. And sometimes it'll go for hours. Yep. I'm like, well, it's a great session, guys. And you didn't do nothing. You did absolutely nothing. And those are my favorite times. You know, when you have set up the hook that they brought to the table to begin with, whether it was through their background story or in a session 2, like you talked about. And that's a really cool idea. I think I want to give that a shot. And it sounded like, correct me if I'm wrong, but you just went around the table and asked them about locations and NPCs that are inhabiting your world. Is that correct?
Mm-hmm.
No.
Yep. And so when I do that, whenever I create an NPC or add an NPC into the world, I ask the players, especially if it's a throwaway guy, if it's not something that I created that's vital to the story immediately, because now that they've added to it, that person's now vital. But I'm like, all right, give me 3 things that are true about this character, and I'll point at a player. You know, tell me one thing about him. Tell me another thing. Tell me another thing. And then my players give me feedback immediately, and I write it down. I mean, I've got 3x5 cards and sticky notes, and those are the most important thing that I could have. So if I need to, I'll just flip to it. And I've got the location to it, and I keep them handy.
Is that an open experience, or do you pass that 3x5 card around? Like, we've written down this guy, you pass it on to the left and say, tell me something about this person.
You could do that. I leave it open. I don't tend to keep secrets at the table. I mean, I really like that idea, but this way it allows people to talk out loud.
Sure.
And sometimes it draws people that are kind of shy out of their shell it's more of a subtle way of kind of bringing them into the game itself. Because some folks don't, it's hard for them to get into character or talk about things. But if you ask them direct questions, they'll usually answer you, and then they start to gain buy-in, gain investment into that character. So hopefully they'll talk to or talk about that character or location.
Sure, sounds good. Any other questions? No, you good?
Yeah.
All right. I think we're pretty good, Dan. Is there anything you wanted to ask us, or while you were on the line, or?
I don't really know. I don't think so. Not offhand. I'm digging what you guys are doing. I like your productions. Everything looks fantastic.
Thank you.
I'm looking forward to seeing what you guys do. I'm glad you guys got your audio issues fixed.
Yeah. Hopefully at least.
Was it a $600 mixer?
Yeah.
Those first 2 episodes were awfully low. I had to crank up my television, the volume really high. I'm like, I can barely hear them.
Yeah.
But it's not everything. But 3 on up sound fantastic.
Yep.
When do you think this will be edited and come out?
Let me look at the production schedule. I'll tell you.
Okay.
It should be, according to schedule. Come here, calendar. I got a new phone, so I'm struggling. Come on. Why is it being stupid? Yes, I'm going. Give me the... It's like, are you going to this interview? Like, yes, I'm at it right now. Can I get past this and get to my calendar? That'd be great. Whatever. Tools, calendar.
That's why I have an iPhone.
No, stupid iPhone.
Yeah,
anyway.
That's why I have an iPhone.
Should be the 25th.
Okay. All right. So quick turnaround then.
Yep. Our number 6, our step 6 video goes up Monday. And then if we ever get Mark, so you're either going to be on the 11th or the 25th, depending on if we can get Mark on the line. We've had some issues. Not him, but we recorded him and then we lost the whole audio.
Of his audio.
So
that's why we bought the mixer, because it was like, I'm not dealing with that again. We're gonna be recording in multiple places for multiple things every time now.
Sounds good.
So yeah, either the 11th or the 25th, and either way, I'll let you know.
Very cool. Yeah, that would be awesome. So who do you guys have all lined up? You mentioned Toby, Ben, Alan.
Yeah, we've got a pretty thick schedule when it comes to interviews. We've got so you've got yourself, Mark Now from IOCane. We have Ivan Van Norman on the 22nd from Outbreak, and he ran Geeky Sundry for a little bit. Frank Russell from the Muse Skulls on the 29th. We have on July 21st, Alan, Chris Miller from Encore, which is going to be our game of July. Toby is also that day. Ryan Schoon is going to be the 28th. So
Schoon's a good dude.
We've got a few interviews, at least 2 per month, and then we just throw them down the line. So.
Did you guys reach out to Tom Donnelly or Trey Alsup, the guys that run IOCane?
Yeah, they said we have Mark, but Trey and Tom, they both said they've been on board. It's just narrowing down a time and date for them.
Gotcha.
So
all right.
They're great guys, especially Tom. Tom is really the hardest one to get a hold of a lot of times.
Yeah.
So.
I guess being a Hollywood screenwriter makes you. I blew my mind because I'm talking to this guy and we're playing board games and having a good time after the IOCane Productions thing, and somebody mentioned, he's like, oh, so what do you do? And he's like, oh, I write movies. And then I looked him up and I was like, are you kidding me? The guy had his hands in the Doctor Strange series, or Doctor Strange film.
Yeah, it was funny because we'd gone to his first game, the Battlestar Galactica games, and we're like, hey, we're going to run this LARP. And so we ran a Call of Cthulhu one, and we're like, hey, we really like your stuff. Can you tell us about your method? Tell us what you liked about our game, what you didn't like, et cetera. Get some feedback from them. And then we were really competitive with them for a couple of years. Like, we have to be better than IOCane. We have to do stuff from them. And then I think it was 2 or 3 years ago when they put out that article, like, oh, hey, by the way, Mark worked for BioWare and Treyarch, and Tom wrote, these movies, and Trey did this, and the Reagan Library. And we're like, well, that's not fair. These guys are real professionals. Like, we're good enough. Like, they came and drank beer with us. That should be good enough. So
yeah, that was one of the finding out that Tom did that, and then knowing that kind of opened up a lot of things for me. And this was really nice, is the fact that gaming is for everybody.
Yeah.
Whether you are a movie producer, whether you're a lowly unemployed dude not doing anything, or a 13, 14-year-old kid just getting into things and just learning, you have the opportunity in gaming to meet all of these very cool people, share your hobby on essentially equal footing. Yeah. And now that we're getting more exposure through YouTube and Twitch and all these other formats, we have our own in-house celebrities that people don't know outside. Like, if you say Matt Mercer, most folks don't really know who that Matt Mercer is. But if you mention Matt Mercer to a geek, they're probably gonna be like, oh my God, I love that guy. Yeah. Or Matt Colville. Matt Colville's a great dude, fantastic dude. And he's got tons of folks that follow his channel. He's became a bit of, a giant celebrity. Hence, that's why he bumped 7C from the top spot from role-playing games for Kickstarter.
Yep. Yeah, he did put that out. I like Colville's stuff a lot. He has some great insight. Some really great insight and some great writing. We're not publishing this, but like I'm not a big fan of his what's the word, like his syncopation, I guess, when he talks. It's very, I don't know, it just gets to me. But his stuff is good, so I wish I could slow him down a little bit when I'm listening to his stuff. But he has some really good insights, and he has done really well for himself. I mean, D&D, Wizards of the Coast has given him a lot of love, which is awesome. I mean, just to have one of the biggest companies in our realm just be like, hey, we want you to do stuff for us and come talk, and it's incredible. I mean, it's the dream, right?
Yep.
Just keep pushing it.
Going back to what we were talking about a little bit earlier, right now is very easy for folks to create product and get it out there with self-publishing, with e-publishing, with things like the GM's Guild and the Explore Society for 7C. Players and fans can write their own thing and get stuff out there, and they can create their own Kickstarter. And granted, some of them don't succeed. A lot of them could fail horribly because it is a backing thing. It's not a pre-purchase. But it's now is the time where if you have the will and you have the time, you can make stuff and get it out to people. Do limited runs of stuff. Write. Just get out there. If you can't figure out what you want to write, or you get into a writer's block, don't start with the first sentence. Start with the second sentence, or start with the last paragraph. Just keep writing.
Sure. I would love to get a video of a couple of you guys together, possibly John, and some other folks that have done successful Kickstarters, and do like a round table of what it takes to successfully crowdsource. I think a lot of people give it a shot, but it's kind of like the YouTube game, right? So people put their videos out there and then they walk away expecting to, wake up one night and have 1,000 subscribers, 2,000, 200,000 subscribers. It's not it. The video part, that's the easy part. It's the networking. It's the constant, like, hi, this is what I'm doing. I really like what you're doing. Could we do some stuff together? Putting forth good product for someone else, lifting them up so that they can, do the same for you, which our community is great at. But I think that a lot of folks, they don't know that, all right? Like they don't understand that it's more than just putting out a good product. I mean, you could put a product out that looks just as good as the Player's Handbook from 5th edition, that's just as well written, but if nobody knows about it, if nobody believes in it, like you talked about, if people don't go out there and believe in you and back you, it's going to sit there. and it's going to sit there as a 99-cent PDF that no one's going to look at. And that's unfortunate because there are so many good writers out there putting out good stuff, but nobody sees it because I don't think they understand marketing, marketing and networking and these basic things that I think a lot of folks forget about when they want to do stuff like this. And I would love to do that, get you guys together.
That would be cool. To be fair, I have not had a Kickstarter in my own name. I've just helped with Kickstarters. We'll see about mine, later on this year, see how that works. But with Ben and with John, I've been the barker. I've worked their booths at conventions. So, you have to develop an elevator pitch that you can tell somebody as they're walking by your booth and get them in there. You have to be loud. You have to draw people in. You have to be a salesman. If you can't be the salesman, find your friend that can. Yeah. That's really it. If you talk to John Wick, if you meet John, there's two Johns. There is convention John. John's loud and salesman-y and kind of draws people in, but he kind of gets focused. He gives his focus to the person that he's talking to. At conventions, that's not always great, but it's good for fan interaction. But when I want to bring more people into the booth, I kind of have to be a little bit more broad and kind of draw folks in. So I've been the bearded booth babe for John Wick Presents at quite a few conventions, including Gen Con. And that's kind of it, is you draw people in. Same thing with Ben. Ben's a loud dude. He has no indoor voice.
That's correct. That is correct from my experience.
So we kind of have to learn how to put that into perspective. And he's also not a salesman. My primary trait is I'm a salesman myself. So, I draw, I try to draw as many people in, bark people in and get them in, get their hands on my book. And, one thing I like to do is I like to have something silly with that. And at Gen Con, when we had the leather bound book for 7C, I tried to see how many people I could get to smell the book because it was made of leather. And so I kept a little hash mark, and that kind of kept people coming in and doing that. So if you can do that with your own product of being like, all right, I'm going to set this goal of how many people can you get to look at, a certain page. It kind of gives you a goal, but you're getting people looking at your material and doing it. Not everybody can get to conventions. So, do it online, get a Twitch channel up, get some YouTube stuff up, get guys like you.
Gotta scare off the kids.
Get guys like you to, help, sell the ideas and sell the property, get good reviews up.
Yeah, absolutely. I agree with you. If you can't sell, find someone who can. I can't edit. I don't know a thing about computers. That's what Ryan's for. Like Ryan's the mastermind behind all of our editing and cutting and putting stuff together. Without him, when we talked about this, it was like one of those things where if he's not involved, I ain't gonna do it. Like I don't have the technical knowledge. I don't have the time to learn the technical knowledge, but I know that he does.
But I don't have time for the social media stuff and the networking and all that. Right. So that's what he takes care of.
So by trade, I'm an event coordinator. I used to work nonprofit, so I have no problem asking people for money. And that's what you have to do. You have to be like, love me. You have to do that. And you have a cause, and you have to believe in your cause, whatever it may be, whether it's nonprofit, whether it's your own projects that you've put together that you love. And you talked about it earlier, getting that honest feedback from a third person that's, not your friend, not your wife, not your husband, but someone that says, hey, this is really good. However, it could use X, Y, Z, and to make that product even better. That's the key. That's the real key, is finding honest people to help you out.
Find a person that could tell you the word no.
Yes. Yeah. Like, no, this is not good. Try again.
Yeah, and sometimes that's hard, but that's important when you're doing anything creative.
Yeah.
Because sometimes you get wrapped up, or and you mentioned editing, like in video, and same thing goes for writing. If I've written something, I'm reading the words that I didn't put into paper because it's still in my mind, but maybe because I have this idea of what I want to portray, or what kind of emotions I want to invoke. But then if I may not be able to actually effectively do that, that's why I need somebody to look at that to make sure that what I want, my intent, is there.
Absolutely. So thank you again, and we would love to have you back on the show another time and talk about another topic.
Yeah, that would be fantastic. I'd love to do it. I enjoy doing this. John Wick and I have. Oh, I could have plugged this earlier. John Wick and I have a podcast. We haven't updated it in some time. It's called Wrestling Sunday School. You can Google it. It's an evergreen type of wrestling podcast about the history of wrestling and individual wrestlers. And with that, I think every GM should watch professional wrestling for pacing and the idea of how to tell a story in 8 minutes in ways that are not necessarily traditional. That's something we could talk about another day.
That's really interesting. Yep. I'll have to give that a shot. All right, Dan. Well, thank you very much.
All right, guys. It's been great.
Hey, we want to say thank you to Dan for coming out and talking to us today. If you guys like these kind of videos, let us know down in the comments below. Or if you have any questions for him, throw them down there. We're going to have him on the show again. Hit those like and share buttons, and please subscribe. Thank you very much. We'll see you next week.